All right, so we'll move on to the next segment. This segment is called the Cornerstone Talk with... Let me tell you who this person is if I will call his name. Now, the next speaker you'll be hearing from is a lecturer in the Department of Sociology, University of Lagos. I would like you to know that this speaker obtained his MSc and PhD certificates in sociology. For people that want to get a PhD in their life, you can do better for him. I would also like you to know that he has contributed chapters in many books and journals, both within and outside Nigeria. Thank you so much for clapping. And he has represented several papers on burning issues of policy and research. I would like you to know also that he has also been a recipient of several scholarly fellowship and awards from international organizations such as the World Bank, Union for African Pollution Studies, International Sociology Institute Goziria, Italy, University of Bergen, Norway, Witwatersrand University, Johannesburg, South Africa, and Partnership for African Social and Governance Research, Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you so much. Now, his diverse field of experiences have enabled him to attend membership of and consult widely for various organizations such as World Bank, Council for the Development of Economic and Social Research in Africa, Human Science Research Council, South African Center for Black Arts and African Civilization, ECOWAS Research and Microeconomic Policy Unit, only one person, Chartered Institute of Personnel Managers, Nigeria, where he once attained the status of a chief examiner. Other professional bodies of repute include the Chartered Institute of Human Resources and Strategic Management, where he currently occupies the position of National Vice President, Chartered Institute of Leadership and Governance, as well as several NGOs. Now, I'd like you to know that this person's research interest covers criminology, gender studies, organization behavior, political economy, intergroup relations, as well as general development studies, and he's married with children. Ladies and gentlemen, to deliver this Cornerstone Talk to us this morning in about 20 minutes, I would like to invite the Honorable Dr. Augustine Okechukwu Agugwa. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. You can do better. He's not here yet. Keep applauding. Keep applauding greatness. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's an honor to meet you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, really.
20 minutes, sir.
You're welcome. At a point, I lost sight of the fact that I was the person being introduced. Am I communicating? Yeah. Good evening. I'm in the midst of what I may regard as friends and associates. Some of you might not have known some of these aspects, but we don't really have a choice. We just have to engage you internally and represent you externally. Am I communicating? Yeah, just to make sure that we don't just talk to ourselves. We also need to talk to ourselves from point of view of what happens outside. That's why as we engage ourselves here, once in a while, we also traverse the outer space as it has to do with regional boundaries. So when we are talking about Gorizia, Italy, Bergen, Norway, Witwatersrand, South Africa, Nairobi, and so on and so forth, it's part of the global trend. Does that make sense? So in the next 20 minutes, maximum, I have this task of addressing the issue of change. The theme is pioneering change, navigating the new frontier of possibilities. I would like to know, is our projector working? If it's not, well, being prepared at all times is an aspect of change. Does that make sense? It's this course, and I'm happy. At the point, it was like the funders of this project needed to import the audience from outside. We argued to and fro because I felt that is something my students, not just students, but my very good associates and friends should benefit from. So I'm happy that majority of you here today are those my students I wanted to partake in this program. We are talking about the issue of pioneering change, navigating the frontiers of what? Possibilities. They say there is one thing constant about nature, and that is what? Change. And it's not just secular. It is also something that has what you might regard as what? A divine origin. Somewhere when we look at the issue of society, and we look at it from point of view of not just a tokenized existence of individuals, no matter what they represent, but from point of view of association. I used to say to my students, when you listen to me, if we start pontificating and philosophizing, that does not mean that we are relegating the divine beings. But our understanding is to do what? Bring the concept of divine beings to a set of secular understanding. So when we discuss society from point of view of sociology, I always make this point that perhaps God was the first sociologist. Am I communicating? Yes. Some of my friends in economists, when they meet us, they say, sociologists do it in groups. At a point, I told him that he was not casting a pun, he was making a point. Because God himself started a sociologist. Does that make sense? He started as a sociologist. Why? How many people do you need for God to appear? What's the quorum for God's appearance? So it doesn't have to do with the church or the mosque. How many people do you need for God to appear at a point in time? See? Behold, when 2 or 3 are gathered together, behold, I'm what? I'm in their midst. Am I communicating? Did he say one person? I'm not putting our religious experts to task. But when man or God looked at a man at a point, what did he say? It's not good for the man to be what? Alone. So God abhors what? Loneliness. Because at that point we said that God was what? Was and still remains what? The first sociologist. And in him is encapsulated this concept of change. So it doesn't have to do with taking it or boxing it into the realm of what sociology purveys or projects. So that let's create man in our own image is an eschatological truth. What's the image God created us in? Not from point of view of your physical appearance. I was in a setting, that setting was in Italy. When I told them that, it will shock them if we now want to go into the peregrinations of God's physiological anatomy. You discover that this girl we always address as a he. It's a she. That's a discussion for another day. Am I complicated? It was a big issue. And like I said, one or two things I said that day earned me 2 hours the following day. Dr. Agugua, tomorrow is a session that has 2 hours. We want you to come back and use those 2 hours and prove that your point. I think one of them was when I made the observation. It has to do with women. See, man is full of potentials. But in the woman lies the kinetic energy of what it takes to initiate change in man. I said that was the reason why the woman Eve was created. So for instance, when we say, if not for who? Eve, the suffering we are suffering in the world wouldn't have been happening. Who told you? If not for Eve, the creativity and innovativeness the world is experiencing today wouldn't have done what? Come on board. Am I communicating? Yeah, because before the emergence of Eve, that was the joke I cracked in Italy. That me 2 hours, for them it was punishment. But come and prove that point. The following day, they said God created everything and rested. Up to the point he created people like my brother, Kayode. Kayode is a very stubborn human being in every setting. So even when he created the man Eve, Adam, what happened? God rested. But I ended by saying, and I've said it in 1 or 2 places, the day God created the woman, neither God nor man has ever done what? Rested. Am I correct? So from that day, God knew that creation has just what? Started. That's creativity. That's innovativeness. Eve did not do anything wrong because the command of God is what? Go ye into the world and do what? Multiply. Multiply is not being idle. He was coming. He was visiting Adam. He was relaxing. He was enjoying his company. But after one of those visits, when he went back, he said, it's not good for the man to be what? Alone. Why? The instruction of the word, build and destroy. This man is not doing it. That's encapsulated in the concept of a change. That's why it has to do with creativity and innovation. You look at the pioneering work of the European Enlightenment period and their progenitors. At a point, life was so smooth, sweet, and what? Fine. The prosaic era, where there was no cause for what? Alarm. Just like the days of Adam. And everything came from God, including your being beautiful, because God created you on a very fine Monday morning. Including your being intelligent. Some of you cling to it. You won't attend classes. Towards the exam period, you go to a GO that will lay his hands on his head, on your head. That was the earlier phase of a prosaic state of human existence, where everything worked on the dictates of God. Those were the things Adam was keeping in shape. That was the state of Europe at a point when to question anything that will initiate change. People who said, if you do that and it affects the way God allowed things to be, they will burn you at the stakes. At the point some people felt, let me be burnt at the stake, but let me say something that will do what? Change the world. That was the history of people like Isaac Newton. And the actions of people like Isaac Newton, as you link it to the Enlightenment and the Renaissance period, made it imperative for the papacy of that time to review their attitude towards what? Burning people at the stakes. Say, yes, these people are challenging the authority of the church or religion, but they are doing things that we can see. And that put in motion the change in Europe that is affecting the world today. I make this observation somewhere along the line. I think it was Alexander Pope, a poet of that time, who, after reviewing the pace and progress of change that now sweats the landscape of Europe, wrote a piece in honor of Isaac Newton, saying, nature and nature's world lay hid in darkness, and God said, let Newton be, and all was light. Am I communicating? Do you understand where he was coming from? He was coming from both the Bible and the Quran. Because you say, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word with God, and the Spirit of God did what? Moved upon the deep. And God said, let there be what? light. What is light? Light is what? Knowledge. Knowledge that inspires what? Change. Just like the potentials of Adam was there, and he needed an Eve to come and tell you, say, look, you and Dr. Kayode, you are colleagues, you are mates. Every day you take me to this house to entertain me. What is wrong with your hands? I won't go to Dr. Kayode's house again. If that will end this marriage, let it do what? End. That is the role of the woman. After that insult from your wife, next time, instead of taking her to Dr. Kayode's house, what will you do? You start thinking of building your own house. That's the role of the woman. That is how somebody ends up being an agent of what? Change. Sorry, the projectors, and your projector is not working, because I'm thinking I've seen two, but they are not showing what they are supposed to. So, that lays the foundation of our today's discourse, as it will also affect other discourses. It's to that extent you will understand that if in the social sciences, people of the Western world tag sociology as the queen of the social sciences, you now get to understand and establish the fact why it is regarded as a discipline that was built on the precepts of change. It was change that inspired scientists of that period, economists, as you have it in the work of people like Karl Marx, administrators, as you have it in person of someone like Weber, including engineers, as you will see it in the work of the man called Roberto Michels. Everything about human existence has been established, both in the natural sciences and to an extent in the principles of economics and all whatnot. But they felt, just like Voltaire stated, the universe and everything associated with it from point of view of natural sciences is one aspect of the assignment. What is the greatest assignment? He said that the greatest assignment is what? The knowledge of man by himself. Know then thyself, O man. That was Voltaire. For at the end of the day, the real study of man is by man himself. Am I communicating? To understand yourself and prepare yourself on the path of change, development, and growth is not something that will come from heaven. It's something that has to do what come from you. That's the capacity to appreciate and understand your environment by taking thoughts and acting through the instrumentalities of time. It is therefore established that you should be able to do what? Initiate change that will lead you to growth and development. And I'm happy. That is the focus and fulcrum of today's what? Discourse. It's to this extent you link it to the concept of work. And when you're talking about change, innovativeness, and what? Creativity. It's about how do you establish a state of what's called what? Ameliorative conditions for human functioning. Work as a central human activity undergone series of changes. It started somewhere when man's state and attitude towards work was in league with what God does. That time, man works for accomplishments that gives him a sense of fulfillment and accomplishment. Working from what internally driven values, not something that is externally directed. But they go hand in hand. It's to that extent you now see from eschatology, when you are made to understand that man does not live by bread alone. I hope it's not heresy. Man does not live by bread alone. Am I correct? What is the larger or latent implication of that statement? The latent implication is that he cannot do without it. Am I communicating? You cannot live by bread alone, it's true. But the other side to it is that you can't do without it. Even from point of view of the Bible, at a point in preaching the gospel, they say, what happened? Jesus had compassion on the people. See, my heart goes out to these people. And his disciples were asking, just like our overzealous pastors of today, we tell you to fast for 40 days. At the end of the fasting, Pastor, I'm hungry. No problem. God will do what? Provide. Am I communicating? It's a total departure from what you may regard as the social ministry of people who started those aspects of what? Eschatological inclinations. So have compassion. In other words, besides hearing the word, you must also do what? Feed your stomach. From that angle, you understand what you call what the centrality of work in every human activity. It is there. And if you now link it to the concept of money, you now understand why even in philosophy, they will tell you that money answereth what? All things. Does that make sense? It's part of the problem between the Protestants of those days and the papacy. Because in the papacy, they emphasized godliness, conservatism, even swearing to what? Poverty. In sociology, from what you will learn in the Protestant ethics, as you have it in the work of the man called Max Weber, he showed that if your father is a rich man, you don't have any business with poverty. Am I communicating? If God is the owner of all resources on earth, and you say that you are his son, you are his daughter, what is your business with poverty? It was captured in Weber's Protestant what? Ethics. And in that concept, he established the rudiment upon which human beings creatively acting on the instincts of what we call what? Innovativeness are not just going to transform the world, they are going to rule the world. Those are the kind of people I look at as what? Prophets. In one of my classes, I said that when you talk about prophets, I recognize some sociologists as prophets more than some of the prophets you bandy. When he wrote that work over 200 years ago, he said that the people that are embracing those principles of what? Creativity and innovation, as it has to do with attitude to work, it's a question of time. Those people are going to rule the world. The Western world of today, the Germans, the Britons, those are the people that embraced the Protestant ethics. And it's to that extent, we now appreciate the fact that work over the time has undergone a lot of what? Changes. Changes, as we see it, bordering on principles of change, are things you can't run away from. They are there. They started on a very conservative note, but over time, such a central stage that on a global scale, the challenge of creativity and innovation is either you are creative, you innovate, you change, or you would what? You die. It's on that note, what I have here, we conclude on the concept of globalization as change occurring on a global scale. And what does globalization mean? I'll take it from the viewpoint of one Emmanuel Waters. He defines social change from point of view of globalization as a process in which the constraints of geography on social, cultural, economic, political, and every aspect of human endeavor, that the constraints of geography are seen to be what? Dwindling. And everyone watching those trends are also doing what? Taking notes. And they are acting accordingly. It's to that extent, from point of view of creativity and innovation, he actually observed that even in the concept of work, even in the arena of employment, globalization as a trend is rewarding those who are doing what? Developing skills, and penalizing those who are not that. At the level of Emmanuel Wallerstein's systems theory, that is what distinguishes what you call what? The core nations, the periphery nations, and what you call what? The semi-periphery nations. It's at the level of changing demands of the workspace. Even in the humanities, they will explain it as it has to do with the attitude of man toward work. And for them, there are three types of people. The ones who make things happen, the ones who watch things happen, and the ones who wonder what actually is happening. As we look and watch and listen to what is happening today, I encourage all of us, from point of view of creativity and innovation, to leave the realm of those who are wondering what is happening, to leave the realm of those who are watching what is happening, and center yourselves in the realm of those who make things happen. And as you do this, I wish all of us a very wonderful happy. Thank you so much, Mr. Leonard and co, for your regard and attention.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
For him. Thank you,
Welcome,
sir.
thank you.